Welcome to the Hillsborian Historian. My name is Rex. Today we're taking a look at some footage from Busch Gardens back in the day. I'm calling it 1973. And it's certainly around then. It could be early 74. But we know there is the flume ride, but there is not the sky ride. So it would have to be early 74 at the earliest. And here we are, we're going around the Serengeti Plain. Look at this. This is really cool. So if you ever look at old footage, you can kind of figure some of these things out. These guys are on the monorail. We're checking out all the animals. We got zebras and giraffes. Look at this thing. That's an ostrich. Isn't that crazy looking? Then you got all these guys hanging out. These zebras, they're really cool. So this is a beautiful area. I mean, this is... Busch Gardens began in the late 50s, and this is really very proactive for the era. These are animals taken care of in an era when that didn't always happen. They're in a habitat that replicates as close as possible their natural habitat. So they're not just locked up in some cement, cage or something like that. There's a good shot of the other monorail cruising around. Busch Gardens Tampa will continue to grow as a tourist destination. It really is constantly expanding and reinventing itself. Some really cool views here. The 70s would see a lot of new additions to Busch Gardens Tampa. That's the Swiss House way in the back, kind of hard to see. So whoever's shooting this is on a monorail. And that's moving as they're moving the camera. There's a Swiss house. That's a better shot of it. And the monorail itself was a cool way to see the animals. That's the brewery back there. That was a big deal. People would go up there, they'd get free beer. He's just chilling in the sun. There's an elephant. Elephants always seem popular, right? There's a brewery again. Now, we mentioned the Swiss House a little bit. That was a huge destination. People liked going there. It was kind of fancy to go there. They're exiting the monorail, and then here you would see animals just hanging out. And these are monkeys just hanging out doing their thing. Look how happy they are. They're just swinging around. So Busch Gardens definitely took care of its animals. Everybody's like, yeah, let's go explore some more. So they're cruising around. Where are they going to go? Let's see. They're going to go look at another elephant. All right. All right, so the Stairway to the Stars is the longest continuous motor stairway ever built. And this is what would take you up to the brewery area. And you can see this thing was really huge. Look at those seals down in that lagoon area, and then look at this video. There they are, they're just hanging out. All the animals look a lot happier than some of their counterparts in other zoos and enclosures around the country. So taking care of animals is becoming a thing, but Busch Gardens is way ahead of it. They've always taken care of their animals. Better than most places did back in the day. This is the parrot show. Now you know this is a different era because they're not impressed with the parrot show. Like the parrot show gets very little footage. Even though you can tell whoever this family was went to the parrot show, they keep on cruising around. He's having a good time. Look at him. They're on the train now. You can tell they're on the train. So the train was another way to look at the animals. You can kind of see the front of the train there. There's zebras. Busch Gardens in this era really is kind of like the Busch Gardens I grew up with, I guess. It looks like a horse and a zebra. That is an okapi. And here is the famous flume ride. So in '73, as near as I can tell, it was just called the flume ride or the Busch Gardens flume ride, but it will later be called the Stanley Falls flume ride, and it should be called that. This is an amazing ride. So at the time of this film, this flume ride was pretty new. It had just opened recently. At the time that I'm recording this, however, it's just closed for good. It was designed by a company called Arrow, and it was a huge deal. This is probably the biggest actual ride in the park, although people loved riding the monorail. I certainly did. But as far as an actual amusement ride, this was a huge deal. There's no Python yet. The Python was a roller coaster that would turn you upside down. That's coming in a few years. So this is part of Busch Gardens taking its theme and kind of expanding. They're taking that African theme, and now we're getting Stanley Falls. We're going to get the Python. You're going to get other rides. I love this footage. That was really cool. Just look at everybody. They're just like, yeah, we're having fun. If you sat in the front, you got kind of wet. But I always sat in the back, so I didn't really get wet that much, you know. I wasn't all about getting wet. Some people like it. Here's the big drop right here. This is over 40 feet. So like you're up there, you know. Here's the big splash. Everybody's waving, they're all happy. We get a quick shot of some parrots. That's the hospitality house in the background. That's Livingston Landings, I believe. Hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. Till next time, take care of yourselves out there.